Okay, I'm continuing with the SketchUp tutorial. The default style had just shifted. In the style tool, which is right here, you can select a lot of different styles to show different edges, whatever floats your boat in that way. I do prefer to have the value of the sun shading on this, so I'm going to keep it on that. But there's many different things that you guys can choose from, including like blueprint, uh, white and black, simple. But for the default styles, I think it's this one that will give me the shading, which will give me a little bit more information. So I'm going to go with that one for right now. Close down these styles, close out the styles, and the next thing I want to do is go to this top-down view, which I'm on, and then I can go to the top-down, which is this perspective, and now I've changed that. Now, one of the things that I'd like to show you guys is that I can go from that view to this view. And it's very helpful to be able to swing between the two views. I'm switching to the top-down, and it will just take a little bit of time for my internet to make that happen. Oh, I think that I didn't save it. So I'm on the top down, what I've labeled top down. I'm going to change it to the actual top down view, and then I'm going to click on this arrow, and you can save different elements and enable scene transitions. This is all okay. You can make changes there. It seems to not want to save it. Update scene. It's an interesting choice for it, but it's the update scene. You can choose to have all of that element on. I'm going to say okay. All right, so now you can see in the scenes that I can go between the two. This is important because I want to be able to take this view, which I actually need to zoom out from. So I'm going to hit Z and pull down so I can see the two houses. You can see that this clock is much smaller than this, but they really need to be within the same scale. So I am going to click on scale. This is the scale tool. So underneath the move tool is the rotate tool and the scale tool. I'm going to click on this object. Cool. And it appears to me that the whole thing is not grouped. Let's see how we do with hitting scale for the whole thing. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to try to, there we go. Once you click on it, these nodes appear. If I go to a corner, I can uniform scale from offset point. So I'm going to pull this down. I don't have to hold shift. It's going to do it with me in a uniform way. So I'm bringing this to be similar to the clock, which is going to be another house. So I've scaled it to be a similar scale. Now I can click off. The next thing I want to do is underneath the scale tool is also the move tool. This helps you to move it. That in Photoshop you would have been able to use the select tool, but you have to use the move tool to move things in SketchUp. You want to be in this view where you're on top when you're moving things. So I've selected it, I'm dragging, and I'm waiting for this to come to me. Okay, it's going to be on the hill a little bit further than that, so that's good for now. Now I'm going to hit O for orbit. I'm waiting for that to happen. Now I can orbit to try to see how they're aligning with each other. One of the things that I'm noting for my particular house setup is that I do need this one to be down lower, so this is probably going to be okay. This is on a different mountain in terms of the previs for that, so it's probably going to be okay. But this one is supposed to be more face fronting with this facing this direction. So the next thing to do is to go to the top-down view and change the view of it. So I'm going to hit H for the hand tool. I'm going to bring this out, and then I'm going to click on the Move tool. That will give me the Orbit tool. This can be a very tricky tool. You do want to be on the top. You can see that my protractor is kind of playing with it being on top or not on top. So I'm looking for it to be a full-on circle. If I click once and then drag out my tool to the right, I should be able to see a line at this point. There we go. Then I'm going to click that once, and then I'm going to turn it. And I believe I want the front to be here. So I'm going to click that. And I'm kind of, in a way, just guessing as to the way that I wanted to have it. So I'm going to hit the Select tool so I get out of orbit. I'm going to hit, or out of rotate, I'm going to hit the O tool for the orbit. I could do that, or I could just go back to the view that I'm trying to get at, which is this mountain view. I'm going to hit the Zoom tool to zoom out, try to get all this stuff lined up. And the hand tool, which is H, and scooch this over a bit. What I noted when I'm in my left mountain view is that the house was not in the right location, but it was pretty close. My orbit needs to go a little bit over, and so you can play with these edges until it's getting to be where you need to go. I need to put this object back further. So I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to move it using this tool back and over, and then I'm going to orbit it so it faces the front a little bit more. So I've clicked, and then I'm clicked once, and I'm waiting for that line to appear. And it looks like to me that I've just tilted it as if it was going to be like in the Wizard of Oz. I'm going to zoom, I'm going to go to this just to show you that I think that that's what happened. Yep. And that's because my the orbit tool was not flush on the top. So I'm going to Command Z that. And so that's a real key, especially if I've got a roof line like that. So I can try to do it from the top here, but you have to really be careful to watch that it's not going to be, it's on that edge, and you really want it to be on the surface of this. So I do find that working from the top is easier. This is the correct place, so I can click here and then click here, and then I should be able to turn it. So I wanted it more front facing. That should be pretty good. Where I get a little bit of side and a little bit of front, so I've got some 3/4-ness going, liking the direction of what's happening there. So I'm going to run with that. That is, now I'm going to click into top view, down view, and I am going to zoom out, so Z for zoom. I'm going to try to match this a little bit more, holding the H tool to pan towards this direction, and then O for orbit to get to this direction, which is going to be a little bit closer to where I'm aiming with my Photoshop file. All right, so this little Sam, I do want him to head out of here, so Sam, bye. I just clicked on him and deleted him. Now I'm going to save my cuckoo, and just waiting for that. After I'm done with that, I'm going to export the file as a PNG. For this tutorial, we're just exporting images. I'm going to save it as a transparent background and export it as a PNG. Hit continue on that. Cuckoo 2, I'm going to show it in the Finder, and it's just showing up on my other screen. I'll drag it into my Photoshop file, and now I've got my new setup. And even though I do need to take it quite a bit down, it may still be appropriate. I'm going to hit return on this. I'm going to rasterize this layer, rasterize, smart object, lasso, V. If I bring it down here, the perspective will be off, but I recognize how much I need to bring it down, and that's one of the things to play with. Command D to deselect. I'm going to undo this, and then I'll put this at a lower fill so we can see how things are starting to line up. So you can kind of see that I'll need to get it to be a little bit more like this. And this is just kind of testing from what I had done in Photoshop first. SketchUp's going to give me a little bit more realistic understanding. But this is how you can get images from SketchUp into Photoshop. Thanks for watching.